I think we can all agree that hot hatches are one of the best genres of car for UK buyers because they're practical, they're fast, and thankfully most of them now are four-wheel drive. So even when it's raining, you can use the performance. However, they aren't just fast in a straight line. If you buy these new, the values also drop faster than my voice. When someone's got something that I want, and I'm trying to seduce them into giving it to me. Can I have a Zinger Tower Burger, please? Now, as you probably know if you're watching this video, these are the pinnacle of their respective hatchbacks. This is the fastest 1 Series you can buy, and that's the fastest accelerating Golf you can buy. They are the ME262 and 163 of our times. However, they share a lot in common with each other. Both got 2-litre petrol engines and 4-wheel drive systems, but there are some differences in the numbers. The BMW is slightly down on power. 306 horsepower, 0 to 62 in 4.8 seconds. The Golf's got more power though, 320 horsepower, and that drops the 0 to 60 by 0.1 to 4.7 seconds. They'll both go on to 155 miles an hour, so they should feel equally fast, but not the same to drive, as we'll come on to in a little bit. Now, in terms of looks, both of these cars are now 5 doors only, which means the Golf does look a bit humdrum, and you've got to be a nerd to spot that it's an R, at least from the side. You've got silver mirror caps, as we've always had on Rs. What does shout a little bit louder are these rather bright blue aluminium brake calipers, which are actually 600 grams lighter per side than on the Mark 7.5 Golfs. That's less unsprung mass, which is always a good thing. These are optional 19-inch wheels. I think they look amazing. I love the drilled brake discs as well. They're not just for looks. Volkswagen say they don't fade even after 6 fast laps of the Nordschleife over in Germany. All models get LED headlights, IQ lights as standard. And you also get a little light up strip along here, which hopefully has gone off. The 1 Series looks like a 1 Series, and I know some of you out there, especially you hardcore BMW fanboys, will still moan about the fact that this isn't a 6-cylinder rear-wheel drive coupe thing, and I'm kind of with you on that. I don't think it looks as sharp as the Golf, but it is more hunkered down. 19-inch wheels are standard, and it's lower than the regular 1 Series by quite a bit. I think it looks a bit more butch than the Volkswagen Golf as well, because it's got massive chunky bronze grille. LED headlights are standard as well. Personally, it comes down to what you like in a car. Golf looks like a fast shopping car. 1 Series looks like a yobbo-mobile. Right, we're going to talk about boot space, looks and practicality at the back of the car. I've not really left myself enough space there. It's like the Suez Canal of hot hatches. The Golf gets quad exhausts. The BMW only gets 2 exhausts. Of which do you prefer? Tell us down in the comments. I have to say the Golf looks a little bit more normal, a bit more bland. You've got this spoiler here, which is just quite boring, to be honest. If you get the performance pack version of the Golf R, you get a 2-piece spoiler, and you also get the drift mode and electric clutches on the rear axle, so it can send power to individual rear wheels. This car doesn't have that. The BMW, you've got the M colours, so that's going to get some people excited. So you've got diffusers on both of them. Not really that exciting back here. Now, boot space, the Golf normally would have 380 litres, but because this is 4-wheel drive, it's only 374. You lose 6 litres of space. You've still got underfloor storage there. You've got not much for load lip. You've got a couple of hooks and a 12-volt socket. The BMW, it's got a bigger boot. On paper, it's 380 litres, so it's within spitting distance still. It's the same size pretty much, it's the same shape, you've got some underfloor storage. It is a draw when it comes to boot space and practicality. Let's check out the rest of them. Now, if you've watched the channel before, you know I'm not a massive fan of the Mark 8 Golf cabin, mostly because the infotainment is a bit rubbish and a bit of a faff, and it crashes from time to time. It has got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto and some new racy graphics and some new driving modes for the R version, which you get to by pressing the R button on the steering wheel. So you've got a race mode and an individual mode. If you get the performance pack, you get a couple of other modes as well. You've got a digital dashboard with, again, some racy graphics. The steering wheel's nice. It's got some blue bits on it and some blue stitching, but it's still covered in haptic buttons, which I just hate, because when you've got an armful of lock-on in a car park, it's very easy to change radio station and things like that. At least Volkswagen has put the standard flappy paddles in the bin and given you bigger, slightly racier ones. They are plastic still, but hey, it's better than the usual fare. The highlight for me has to be these seats. They're kind of Alcantara, they're squishy, but they also hug you at the sides a really nice amount. They're not uncomfortable, and yeah, you've got all the usual other Golf stuff. You've got a wireless charger, you've got felt lined door bins. It's very practical. I hate the temperature sliders. I absolutely despise them. They're not backlit either, so that's super annoying. So it's a real mixed bag in here. I should also point out you don't get reversing camera standard. It was a 330 quid option from the factory. But yeah, when you're driving, you don't notice most of the annoyances. Let's check out the BMW. Now this is actually much more like it. You do sit a little bit lower in the M135i's cabin, and the seats have got this real Alcantara material. They just look and feel a bit sportier than the Volkswagens, but they're still comfortable. Also got a nice round steering wheel, much better integration of the infotainment and the digital dashboard. They're easier to use. You've got an iDrive controller. You've still got your CarPlay and your Android Auto. You've got USB-A there. There's not as much sporty stuff in here. No kind of blue stitching on the wheel or anything like that, but it kind of makes it feel a bit more grown up and a bit less yobbo than the Golf, while also having better infotainment. Anyway, I prefer the upfront experience in the 1 Series, but what about the back seats? Let's find out. Now, I know these are both performance cars, but I'm going to quickly look at the back seats because it's always good to be able to scare your children, isn't it? The back seats of the M135i are a little bit cramped for 6'3" me. That's my driving position. My knees are touching it. My head is buried in the ceiling, really, if I sit upright. And it's just a bit dark and gloomy and not very nice back here, frankly. But you've got decent ISOFIX locations for your child seats. You've got 2 USB-Cs. But the biggest thing for me is I smack my head on this every time I get in and out. I have to really duck down to fold myself into this. Let's see if the Golf R is any better. The back seats of the Golf R are roomier. It's not night and day different. Legroom is about the same, footroom's about the same, but headroom is just way better for tall people like me. Again, that's my driving position. I'm just about brushing it. Got some storage pockets here though. Got some USB-Cs. Got a bigger central tunnel in the Golf. Interestingly, so your middle seat passenger won't be as happy. Got felt line door bins in the back, and I don't quite hit my head as much getting out of this as I do. It's like they've designed it for actual rear seat passengers, whereas in the BMW, you're just a bit of an afterthought. But that's not what's important about these cars. It's how they drive. Right, we're going to take the M135i for a quick country road drive. It is undeniably pretty fast. 0 to 60 on this, still below 5 seconds. But I've driven this car a lot over the years and I've never really bonded with it. Even in sport mode, it just doesn't have the most instant throttle response. The gear shifts aren't as quick as the Golf's dual clutch gearbox, and it's just a bit slightly leaden feeling. I mean, it's fast, it's grippy, and it certainly will push you back in the seat when you do launch control, but it hasn't got a great sense of fun about it, which is odd, being a BMW. From the old BMW M140i, having a 6-cylinder engine, being rear-wheel drive. That car, it was a handful, but it was a lot of fun. This feels like they've designed a hot hatch on a computer, and actually when you drive it in the real world, it's not especially fun. It's fast, the ride is firm, it's a little bit annoyingly firm to be honest, but there's just nothing really about it that makes me look back at it and think, oh yeah, I had a great drive in that car. It's efficient, it's grippy and all the rest of it, but it's just not ever set my trousers on fire in the way that a hot hatch should. In fact, I would argue the lesser car of the 1 Series, the 128 Ti, that's got 260 horsepower and it's front wheel drive, that is more fun. This is too one-dimensional really, which is a bit of a shame. And also I don't have a reversing camera on this, so that gives it an instant 1 star out of 5 rating. But whatever, let's hop behind the wheel of the Golf and see if that can be more than just ambition okay. Right, time for the Golf R. And you might think, oh, it's just going to feel pretty similar, given that it's got a 2-litre, kind of 320 horsepower engine. But the engine's got a totally different character. It's the classic Volkswagen EA 888 if you're a nerd, but it's actually quite revvy and it wants to rev. It's perhaps not got quite as much torque as in the BMW, but man, I have to say, there's something about this that just feels more fun. It feels a little bit more alive. And when Volkswagen brought out this Mark 8 version of the Golf R, they made it able to send more power backwards, so you feel a little bit like being pushed out of corners. Yeah. This is the more agile feeling car, it's the more fun car. You also get much louder, more natural feeling pops and bangs from the exhaust, which for me, being a child, counts for quite a lot. Yeah, the steering's a bit lighter, possibly a bit less hefty feel to it, but when you're driving it quickly on a road, I would feel more confident going faster in all conditions in the Golf. and it's also more fun. And if you get the performance pack one, I've driven one of those, I know that when you peel out of a junction, you need to stick some opposite lock on because the back will skid out using those clutches on the back axle. It feels a bit weird to say that Volkswagen has made a better driving hot hatch than the Meisters at BMW, but they really have done. And also, this is more comfortable more of the time. If you get the dynamic dampers, again, you can make it more comfortable or firmer. I think this is just the better car, despite the fact the infotainment is hateful. But anyway, let's head back to me in the Forest of Joy for a conclusion. I nearly ran over a ginger child. That's bad. Running over any child, bad. Gingers especially need to stay in the gene pool. Right, which fast hot hatch am I going to pick out of the BMW M135i and the Golf R? I'm surprising myself by saying this, and I know I'm going to get hate on the forums. I'm going to go with the Golf R. For me, it's just got more character than the BMW. And yes, I know it feels strange saying a Volkswagen Golf has character, but this does pop some bangs from the exhaust. That chassis, it can really send more power to the rear now, so you feel like you're being pushed from the back from time to time, whereas ironically, the BMW's handling is just kind of fine. It's kind of grippy, it's not entertaining, but the Golf really can be, especially if you get the performance pack version, which has got torque vectoring and can actually drift and stuff like that in a kind of artificial sort of way. I also prefer the spaciousness of the cabin. Yes, the infotainment in the BMW is superior, but that's kind of about it. If you've got about 35 grand to spend on a hot hatch, I would go over here. And yes, I know this car is actually 5 grand cheaper today, but you can get one of these with an equivalent mileage to that, close to 12,000, and it will be closer in price. God, caveats, caveats, caveats. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you've liked it, subscribe to the Motorpoint YouTube channel, like this video, go down to the comments and tell me if you're a BMW fanboy and why I should probably go and jump into the sea.